On a night train in Europe, this strange experience happened in 2005 when I was backpacking around Europe with my girlfriend at the time. It's not as scary as others on this sub, but it's stuck in my mind since then, and I still don't know what to make of it. I'm blurry on some of the details these days, but we were in Paris and had decided for some reason to catch an overnight train to Prague. It's a long trip of maybe 12 hours that takes you through Germany. The train was quite old, with those classic-looking seat booths that you see in the movies, with 2 rows of seats facing each other. Each booth is enclosed with a sliding door. The luggage is stored above each row on racks, which is important to the story. When we boarded the train in Paris, we sat next to each other on one side, and the other seats were full by the time the train departed. I think we both slept on and off as the train passed from France into Germany. At the borders, the train stopped, lights came on, and everyone's passport was inspected. I'm not sure where we were when strange things started happening. Perhaps we had also crossed the Czech border. Everyone else was asleep in the booth, but I'm a terrible sleeper and wake at the slightest noise. At some point, the booth door slid open with a bang and a man was standing there. He wasn't a train conductor, just some guy in a brown coat. I woke up and looked at him. He was looking at each of the sleeping passengers one by one, and then he looked at me for longer than made sense. And then he slammed the door and left. Sometime later, maybe an hour, the same thing happened. The door was slid open quite loudly, and a man stood there and looked at everyone in the booth. He saw me watching him, and then after a while slid the door shut quite loudly. The same thing kept happening, and I remember thinking, what the F and amp asterisk % is up with these guys who keep coming in here? Although it did seem weird, I didn't think much more of it. When we eventually arrived in Prague in the morning, we went to a hostel that we had found in the Lonely Planet guidebook for Prague, and there we met a group of other backpackers waiting in the lobby who had also just arrived on a night train. One of them told us that he kept his passport in a pouch around his neck under his shirt, and that in the early hours of the train trip, he woke up to find a man trying to pull it out and unbutton it. He moved or said something, and the man had run out of the booth. One of the other backpackers said she had been in a different booth and had woken up to discover someone opening her backpack, which was on the floor. They said that when they had arrived in Prague, they had checked their luggage and had discovered that things were missing in ways that didn't seem possible. One guy had bought a Swiss Army knife as a present and had kept it in its original box in his backpack. The box was still in his backpack, but the knife inside had been carefully removed, leaving the box in the backpack. The box was still in his backpack, but the knife inside had been carefully removed, leaving the box in the backpack. His backpack had been above his seat. It would have taken someone time to open the backpack, rummage through and find the box, and then close everything back up. I remember another guy said he had some money missing from his pouch that he also kept under his shirt. He couldn't believe someone had managed to get under his shirt without him waking up. Once they had all checked their bags, a number of them were missing items. This group was freaked out and had no idea how anyone had been able to rob them without any of them waking up. So they came up with the theory that someone must have released some kind of gas into the booths to put everyone to sleep so that they could go through their stuff uninterrupted. They thought that the train conductors must have been in on it. It made me wonder whether the men who had been opening the doors of our booth were checking if we were conscious. At the time, I was wondering, why were they so rough with the doors? And why were they studying everyone's faces like that? Is it even possible to gas a group of people on a train like this? Do I have a natural resistance to sleeping gas? I have no idea.